Time grows short. I write this under the impression that someone, anyone, may read it. The year is 1952, and I am quite sure that I do not exist. In fact, if I may be frank with you, dearest reader, the year 1952 never actually came to pass at all. The world in which you live, its nations, histories, and myriad of flora and fauna, are in reality just as much fiction as the man who scribbles out this hasty letter in the shabby rooms of a rather disreputable establishment on the south side of Boston, a city equally fictitious in nature. If you are at the moment more than a bit confused and confounded, I completely understand. And if you were to take this letter as the crackpot ramblings of a madman, no rational mind could fault you. But I know that the words I write to you now are the truth, simply by merit of the fact that you are reading them. No matter how this letter found its way to you, whatever twisted avenues of fate and destiny wound their way from me in my time to you in yours, that is all the evidence needed to confirm my suspicions. I will be altogether as transparent as I can be in regards to this, for there are many parts of your own consciousness which would much rather you not be made aware of this. But you are asleep. Everything that you believe to be true and real, friends and family and places, and even your own individual person, is a fabrication, birthed by your infinite subconscious from the moment that you first fell into slumber. The world in which I live, you live, and every other human being since the dawn of time, did not begin hundreds of thousands of millions of years ago. To classify time in this reality in so banal a formation as a simple line makes the entire process impossible to comprehend. But I will do my best to explain with clarity. From the moment you opened your eyes in whichever hospital you believe yourself to be born at, that was the moment of the universe's birth as well. Certainly, you were not aware of it in your supposed infancy, but from the instant that breath entered your body for the first time, the universe burst outwards. The cosmic event that so many of us think of as a Big Bang did not occur billions of trillions of years ago, but was in fact coincident with your birth. If you have been paying close attention, you may notice something very odd. At the start of this letter, I told you that I was writing it in the year 1952, and yet the popular cosmic theory of the Big Bang will not become widespread until the distant year of 2007. How very odd indeed that I am aware of an event which has not yet come to pass, isn't it? Not so odd after all. The universe and everything in it are you. All of us just minute facets of the wondrous machine that is your unexplainable mind. So of course I would know of such a theory, because you do. You coined the term yourself, or at least a facet of your mind did, in a time that you believed to be many years ago. Perhaps I am going too fast. I find that once the truth has been discovered, I have been more than a little manic in my haste to record it and send a message to you. By the time you receive it, you will have perceived me long dead, faded back into the obscurity of your mind, but I have served my purpose. I have triggered your awakening. Our awakening. And now our time grows shorter still. I will start at the beginning. After all, you may find it difficult to comprehend and believe in such a maddeningly whimsical theory without remembering how it is that I came to conceive of it. I was a much younger man when the symptoms first began. I cannot say for certain what it is that caused the sudden change in me, but perhaps you will be able to surmise it yourself if I set the scene. At the time, I was not in Boston, but rather a much loftier apartment flat in New York's Manhattan borough, a far cry from the less than amicable quarters I must now call home. A young and inspired businessman on the up and up, I was being tutored by one J.P. Morgan, who would in later years pass away, quite unfortunately. If memory serves, I was but 19 years of age at the time, though I must say the exact year evades me. However, while many details of my life at this juncture grow bleary at my age, a few quite specific ones remain morbidly clear. The first moment that I remember seeing the cracks in the veil of your great dream was on October 24th of an unknown year. I was sat at luncheon with an acquaintance of mine, a young woman by the name of Ruth, whom I remember being quite taken with. Even after all these years, I can still see her image in my mind impeccably. A fetching and most auspicious young lady, I am certain that she went far in life. But the woman herself is far from important. It was as I took what was meant to be a cursory glance across the road from the cafe in which we were seated that I saw it. The problem was minute, so small that for weeks afterwards I would convince myself that I had not seen it at all. But after decades of searching and finding these flaws in the world, I can say with utmost positivity that it was real. There was a man, a laborer working on some of the city's earliest skyscrapers, walking down the pavement. Obviously on his way back to his worksite, to judge by the hurry that he was in. He himself was far from remarkable, mustached, thick-set, and muscular, but the mustache itself was what caught my eye. For as crowds of pedestrians milled about him, I noticed 3 separate times that the hair upon his lip was groomed in a separate way. First it was large and bushy, then pencil-thin and trimmed neatly, before settling on a median between the two. At the time, I wrote my strange sighting off as nothing. Who could possibly concern themselves over the behavior of a man's mustache? I spoke nothing of the incident to Ruth, turned away from the man, and we continued our luncheon in peace. But unfortunately, I believe that I had seen something I was not meant to, and that very evening I found myself suffering from a very mild migraine. Again, I wrote it all off as nothing more than an overworked and under-rested mind, and tucked myself down to bed to try and get a good night's sleep. I have not had one of those in decades. From that day forward, my sleep would be plagued by odd visions. To call them nightmares would be altogether inaccurate, for they were not as frightening as they were confusing. That being said, I have since been able to decipher the meanings of these dreams in the years following the initial incident. From that night forward, I began to dream of the future, and not in the same optimistic fashion that I had done as a businessman. No, far from it. My dreams and visions showed me things strange and otherworldly. While they will not exist for decades to come, I know about the internet, computers, bullet trains and airplanes, and all manner of things that I am not meant to know so soon before their inception. But I do. And since that first initial sighting, I have devoted my entire life to finding the truth. And now my time has all but run out. Perhaps you have seen them yourself throughout your daily life. Those little imperfections in the world's surface. Your subconscious making the tiniest mistakes in building a dreamscape for you to play in. To you, they might not even be so rare an occurrence. And that is exactly how you will know that you are the one. To my knowledge, what little I have been able to glean from my visions, we are some great cosmic beast, older than time and transcending all notions of space and the universe. The very plane of existence that we call home exists only in the mind of this entity. The fish in the sea, birds in the sky, and every single member of the human race are not as individual as they would like to think. In reality, we are mere puppets, props on the stage of your life to make things more convincing. For while the rest of us are simply fragments of drifting subconscious in the sea of our host's great mind, you, dear reader, are the host itself. You are not the subconscious like the rest of us, but the consciousness of a creature far greater than you yourself can even imagine. I suppose you might even call yourself God. And you are asleep. Asleep and dreaming of a universe of your own creation in which to live. But the dream is just that, a dream. Eventually you will wake, and everything that is and ever was will cease to be in an instant. You will wake, resume your cosmic journey, and not even recall what it was you dreamt of. Humanity, for all our posturing, will leave no legacy upon the universe, for the universe will be gone with us. I tell you of this not because I welcome the destruction of all that is, but simply because I have recognized that this is my purpose. The dream came into being with the need to one day end, and that end is drawing very near. You fashioned me all these years ago to notice the fractures in our dream and to remind you of what you truly are. With my work completed, I can finally allow myself to die, to once more become an entity indistinct from the whole. I have sired no children. There would be no point, and no one will miss me once the deed is done. I will implore you one last time, dearest reader, father and mother, creator and issuer of destruction. Wake up. This dream cannot last. Open your eyes and bring with you oblivion. Time's up, dear reader. Sincerely, Charles M. Riley.